What up? IB in the building, and we back for another video. Now today's video is probably the most unique video to my channel. When I made this channel, I wanted it to be more than just a 2K rebuilding channel. I wanted it to be an NBA talking channel where I could talk about the NBA because that's what I love the most. I'm an NBA junkie, and I wanted to talk about it with videos like this. But given that the NBA suspended its season and has been suspended for the past, 2 months? There's not been any NBA to talk about. So that's why I've been just pumping out rebuilding videos and not even doing realistic ones, just doing fantasy draft ones, challenge videos. But recently we got some news, I think it was about a week ago. I think it was about a week ago that Adam Silver said that they were targeting a July 31st return of the NBA season. So that kind of made me start thinking, you know what? I can start talking about the NBA again, and I can do a 30 teams in 30 days rebuild where I talk about 30 teams, all 30 teams, about the team state that they're in for the next 30 days. At that moment in time, I don't know why I confused July with June, and I thought I knew it was coming back in July 31st, but in my mind I was thinking June 31st. So I was gonna do a NBA 30 teams in 30 days, but it's 60 days in reality. So I'm probably just gonna do maybe every 2 days. So yeah, 30 teams, 60 days, that type of thing. I'll space them out every 2 days. I'll do a team. And it's gonna be just a team breakdown where I break down the state of the team, core players, etc., etc. And today, first let me kind of explain how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start with the teams that are outside the playoff picture. So like the 15 teams that are outside the playoff picture on the West and the East. And after I do those, I'm gonna do the playoff team. And there's no particular order that I'm picking these non-playoff teams. I just saw the Atlanta Hawks and I was like, they're a pretty interesting non-playoff team. So, like I said, today's team breakdown is about the Atlanta Hawks. So at the time of suspension, the Atlanta Hawks were 20-47, giving them a 14th seed in the Eastern Conference. The major headline revolving around the Atlanta Hawks was none other than the emergence of Trae Young. He's a walking 30-10 on any given night. I think this season, Trae Young proved that he could possibly be a franchise caliber player for the Atlanta Hawks going forward. He is a great scorer with great playmaking potential. Even his college career, he's been compared to Stephen Curry, and one could argue, it's quite obvious that his playmaking ability, at least on the ball playmaking ability, surpasses Curry already in his second season. If Trae Young could put up these type of numbers on a championship contending team, he could one day be an MVP candidate, and he could also be a #1 option on a championship team. Honestly, offensively, he has very few flaws. Like I said, offensively. When we go to the defensive side of the ball, it gets a bit shaky. Given his limited size, he's about 6'2", 170 pounds if I had to guess. He's always going to be a liability on defense due to his size, weight, height, stature, however you want to slice it. Limited wingspan. On ball, he's going to be always a limited defender, no matter what he can do. Teams are going to try to attack him in pick and roll switches at all costs, similar to how LeBron James and Kyrie Irving attacked Stephen Curry in the pick and roll and tried to switch Stephen Curry on the LeBron James whenever they could. So in order for Trae Young to limit or minimize his defensive downside, he's going to have to become a great team defender, like Stephen Curry is for the Golden State Warriors. He's going to have to get timely steals, may that be on ball or in passing lanes. He's going to have to come up with great rotations, and he's going to have to use a lot of effort. He's going to have to try his ass off on defense in order to be at least average in terms of total impact. Outside of Trae Young, we have the Robin to his Batman in John Collins. He's a power forward, but in the future, he's probably going to have to play center. Great shooting potential. Well, he's a great shooter now. The man shot 40% from 3 as a power forward. He's a great rebounder. He averaged 10 rebounds a game, along with 20 points. And he improved his rim protection from last year to this year, going from 0.6 blocks per game last year to 1.6 blocks per game this year. Now, the question marks for John Collins include, can he be a go-to #2 option? As in, can he or will he ever get to a point where he will be able to create his own offense? A lot of the points generated by John Collins come off of pick and roll plays with Trae Young, pick and pop plays by Trae Young, dribble penetration by Trae Young, kicking it to John Collins in the corner. He gets 20 points off of those type of plays, and efficiently. But in order to be a number 2 option, you kind of have to have some shot creating potential. Can John Collins add that? That's the question. Another question mark, can he play center? We alluded to that earlier in the video. He came to the league as a power forward. He's 6'10", I believe. And, these past 2 years, we've been getting smaller and smaller at every position. So it's going to be a question of can he play center, because that's where the league is going. And in my honest opinion, I think he definitely can play center. The downside of him playing center right now is he's kind of a liability on defense. Shot blocks don't tell the entire story for defense for a big man. He's going to have to be able to be an elite pick and roll defender as a center, because the league is going in a pick and roll direction. And when he goes against the back to the basket bigs that exist in today's game, your Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, he's going to have to be a solid post defender as well. And also, we're losing the traditional back to the basket big man. Like I said, Jokic, Embiid, and Towns are kind of your only centers that really, like star caliber centers, number 1 go-to option centers that get a lot of post touches. Porzingis, what's his name? What's the coach's name? Rick Carlisle said they don't want to do post-ups for Porzingis anymore. Boogie I don't think he can ever be a star caliber player again. Jahlil Okafor is a bust. What other back to the basket star centers are there in the league? Well, Giannis does play center sometimes for the Bucks, and he gets quite a few post-ups, so we can count Giannis. Domantas Sabonis, but a lot of times they have him at power forward. It's kind of gray area who's the center on Indiana. Nikola Vucevic, but I don't think anybody is really scared of Vucevic being a number 1 option on the team. Like, you see how far Vucevic as your number 1 option can get a team. Perennial 8 seeds. Oh, how could I forget Anthony Davis? But Anthony Davis, I've seen Laker games and they go to him a lot in the post, but it seems like compared to earlier in his career, he's been gravitating more to the 3-point line, because it's not all on him, it's just the direction of the league. There's Jusuf Nurkic on the Portland Trail Blazers, but he's not really going to be a number 1 option that you're going to be afraid of killing you on a nightly basis. And then the last 2 are DeAndre Ayton and Zion Williamson. We'll see how those two, their careers pan out. Zion's look very, very, very promising, and then DeAndre Ayton's look very solid. So we'll see how those 2 players pan out as back-to-the-basket bigs. Zion is more than a back-to-the-basket big, but he's one of the only bigs nowadays that get post touches. I think you catch my drift. So in the entire league today, bigs that could be a number 1 option as a go-to threat in the post, we have Giannis, Sabonis, Embiid. Actually, no, we just need to count players that can be a number 1 option on a team scoring in the post. So, Giannis, Embiid. I'm going to say Sabonis, but I don't really believe Sabonis can be a number 1 option on the team. Anthony Davis, Jokic, Porzingis doesn't post up anymore. Zion, DeAndre Ayton, and Cat. So, 8 total players in the NBA that could be a number 1 option on a championship winning team using post-ups. Really 7. I'm not going to count Sabonis. That is less than a third of the league. Compared to like the 90s and the 80s, there were damn near the entire league had a center that could be a go-to option in the post. But it seems like, nowadays basketball is just gravitating outside, perimeter oriented. So for that reason, I really think John Collins could be a center on a championship winning team. So outside of John Collins and Trae Young, there's a lot of question marks who I've labeled as wait and see players for the Atlanta Hawks. We'll start off with Kevin Huerter. I think he was in the same draft class as Trae Young. He's an amazing shooter. He shot 38% from 3 on 6 attempts, and he basically did the same thing that he did in his rookie year, so his efficiency didn't drop in more attempts per game. But the question is, can he do more? Can he become a shot creator that can give you 2 buckets on his own per game? Or is he just going to be a player who runs around on floppy type of plays like Klay Thompson, or just sits in the corner and waits for Trae Young to hit him with the open pass? Is he going to be that? And also defensively, he's a solid defender from what I've seen, but I know he's not a lockdown defender or anything, and that's going to have to be a key of emphasis for starting alongside Trae Young. How are they going to fill out that 2-guard position? It's going to depend a lot on who can defend the best. Because playing with Trae Young, he's a defensive liability right now. You kind of want to have a good defender back there with him. Next, we have Clint Capella. You know Clint Capella. He was traded to the Atlanta Hawks from the Rockets, the team that hates centers. He was traded from there to the Atlanta Hawks because right now the Hawks don't want to play John Collins at center. And the thing about him is, we know what he is. He's a rim-running center. He's a great rim protector. He's shown the ability to switch on to smalls in the pick and roll. He's a lob threat. He can finish very efficiently inside. In terms of spacing, he's kind of a black hole, and he's kind of what the NBA is going away from nowadays in 2020. But like I said, they brought him in to play center next to John Collins at the 4. And the thing about Clint Capella is he's on a great contract. I think he's making $17 million per year for the next 4 years, and that is fantastic compared to what certain players are getting. Like Hassan Whiteside got 27 mil per year in like 2016, as basically what Clint Capella does. So yeah, that is a great contract for the type of player that Clint Capella is. So yeah, great rim protector, great rebounder, great lob threat, great finisher. He can work well with Trae Young in the pick and roll. We know that. We've seen what he does with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Paul. We've seen what he does. The question is, will that limit Trae Young and John Collins in the pick and roll? Because think about it, if Clint Capella is playing right next to John Collins in the pick and roll, let's say Trae Young and John Collins are in the pick and roll, Clint Capella is going to be taking up space kind of down there. Even if he's not down there, let's say they put him in the corner, he's not a threat out there, nobody's going to defend him down there. They can drop another defender down low to prevent John Collins' roll. So, will Clint Capella kind of be limiting the John Collins Trae Young pick and roll? It's a wait and see. The NBA has not always had centers that can space the floor. They've made pick and rolls work before, but I don't think now that the pick and roll is so prevalent, it wasn't as prevalent back then in the 90s and 80s and early 2000s as it is right now. So teams can game plan against it better. We'll see how they can make that work. And then the second question is, given that he's on that very team-friendly contract for the next 4 years, is he in the Atlanta Hawks' long-term plans? Do they envision Clint Capella next to John Collins for the entire future, or do they eventually want to get towards moving John Collins to the center? We have to wait and find out. The next player we have is the number 3 or 4. I gotta Google it. 4. He was the number 4 overall draft pick in last year's draft out of Virginia, DeAndre Hunter. Now, DeAndre Hunter is an older rookie. He stayed at Virginia for 3 or 4 years and he won a championship there. And in the draft, he was heralded as the new age player that everybody in the NBA community loves, the 3-and-D wing. He came in the league as a prototypical 3-and-D wing, and he's kind of followed suit in the NBA. He's averaged 12 a game on 40% from the field, it's good for a rookie. And he shot 35% from 3, which is good for a rookie as well. In watching DeAndre Hunter play, it seems like he's pretty confident in his shot. He doesn't take long to throw it up whenever he gets the pass. He doesn't hesitate on it. He pulls it whenever he feels like he's open. And that shows, given that he's taking 5 threes a game as a rookie. And another, little nuance that I saw that can suggest that a player is confident in his shot is that he doesn't hesitate to go to a pull-up mid-range off a pick and roll. He doesn't hesitate to take a pull-up mid-range at the elbow, and it goes in a decent amount. He's going to have to improve if he wants to keep taking them in this new age style of play of 3 or layup. He's going to have to improve his efficiency from mid-range, but he's shown that he's confident in that shot and will take it. DeAndre Hunter has good size for a 3 or maybe for a 4, given this new wave, new age of small ball NBA. He is a perfect small ball 4 that can stretch the defense out. He's also shown the ability to catch the ball, and when a defender is closing out hard, he can attack those hard closeouts and finish at the rim. He shoots 59% at the rim, and that's got to improve, but given that he has good size, a good frame for a small forward, decent athleticism for a small forward, I think he can improve that efficiency with time and effort. So the question mark with him is, can he grow? Can he grow into maybe a tertiary shot creator for the Atlanta Hawks? Because I don't think he can ever really be a secondary option. I mean, hey, players develop at different rates. Like, not everybody's going to come in like LeBron James and be the number one option, putting up 20 a game. You have players like Kawhi Leonard. It took him like 4 or 5 years to become that. But from what I can see right now and what a lot of people see is he's probably not going to be a secondary or a go-to guy. Could he be a third option on a championship team? Probably. I think he can because, like I said, he's shown potential in terms of shot creation, not just catching and shooting. He's shown the ability to catch and drive at a hard closeout. He's shown the ability to take it off the dribble on the pick and roll. Has the Jimbo pull-up at the mid-range elbow. And he's also shown some line drives when he does have a smaller guy on him. He doesn't bust out many crossovers between the legs, but he can drive in a straight line when he has a small guy on him and finish over those defenders. And also when he gets a switch, he's shown the ability to post up. I remember in a game they were playing the Washington Wizards when Isaiah Thomas, okay, this isn't saying much, but they had Isaiah Thomas guarding DeAndre Hunter. And if it was a player like Andre Roberson, who is a clamp god, like Hunter, it has the potential to be. If it was Andre Roberson would see Isaiah Thomas and he would still stand in the corner. But DeAndre Hunter actually showed the want to get the ball and drive on Isaiah Thomas, to get the ball in the post and score over Isaiah Thomas, which shows that the Hawks realize that they have somebody that can score and realize when their guy has a mismatch and somebody who believes in their ability to score. So maybe in the future he can average maybe a 15 to 17, maybe 18 points a game. So I just quickly went through the core guys on the team. I know there's Cameron Reddish that I didn't get to, but he kind of had a up and down year, and it's really a wait and see on Cam Reddish. And I don't think I watched enough Atlanta Hawks games to get a feel of Cam Reddish. I watched a lot of them in Duke, and in Duke he struggled as well. I mean, it's kind of hard playing with RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson, but everybody knows the potential is there with Cam Reddish. He has great wingspan, great size for a 2 or a 3. He has a good form on a shot. Seems like he believes in the shot. He's just got to develop. He's got to get right. So the direction for this team, they're obviously in a rebuilding state. Top priorities for them right now: grooming Trae Young into that superstar player, testing the potential of John Collins. Is he a number 2 guy, or is he just going to cap out as a 20 per game on just pick and rolls, pick and pops, and wide open threes in the corner? And a big part of this rebuild is the young core: Kevin Huerter, John Collins. I already mentioned John Collins. Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, and this pick that they're going to have in the upcoming draft. Which one of those players is going to be a part of this team's long-term rebuild? And is Kevin Huerter or Cam Reddish the guy to have next to Trae Young in the future? In terms of starting potential at that 2 position, I think Cam Reddish could be the best fit because Cam Reddish has a better or more defensive upside than Kevin Huerter, I think. To kind of juxtapose the two, Kevin Huerter and Cam Reddish. Kevin Huerter has the highest floor because he is a sniper, and this NBA is in desperate need of snipers. Every team wants a sniper, and he still has room to improve. Cam Reddish has the highest ceiling and the lower floor because Cam Reddish has the wingspan, the size, the athleticism to be a great defender. He's just got to buy in, and he's shown that he has shot creator potential in high school. I think he was the number 2 prospect in coming out of high school. So he still has potential, and he has a lot more defensive upside than Kevin Huerter. So speaking of this top 5 pick, this upcoming pick in the draft is probably going to be in the top 5. Who do they go after? In my opinion, I think the prospect that would be perfect for this team would be Anthony Edwards. He's a 2 guard, decent size. He's a definite top 3 prospect. And all these mock drafts, they fluctuate so much. Like, some mock drafts I see Anthony Edwards as number 1. Sometimes I see him outside the top 5. So it's kind of hard to really get a feel of it. Plus the NCAA season got cut short. March Madness is where these prospects prove themselves, and we didn't have that. But in terms of fit wise, I think Anthony Edwards would be the perfect player. From what I've heard, he can create his own shot. He's a shooting guard. That's kind of the weakness of this team right now. Yeah, Anthony Edwards would be a good guy to go after. I think in most mock drafts I've seen, he is the number 1 prospect, so they would probably have to get the number 1 pick to get him. But if he's there whenever they have the pick, they got to take him. LaMelo Ball. Now, if the Hawks ended up drafting LaMelo Ball, they would be on so many League Pass games, so many NBA on TNT games, so many ESPN games. They would be all over national TV. LaMelo and Trae Young, well, for the simple fact that it's Trae Young, he's a budding superstar. LaMelo is LaMelo. The man had a reality TV show when he was 15. He has LeVar Ball as his father, Lonzo as his older brother. He went overseas. A lot of hype. There's a lot of hype around LaMelo Ball. He's the Ball is Life legend. So a LaMelo Ball, Trae Young backcourt, that is a ratings best friend. Two players who have amazing playmaking ability. Number one, that's going to make the offense a lot easier. And two players who appear to have limitless range. We've seen Trae Young pull up from the logo, and we've seen LaMelo do the same thing. Obviously not as consistent or against the caliber of players that Trae Young has been able to do it, but we've seen LaMelo, the potential is there. Then you start thinking about the defense and how Trae Young's already limited. Because of his size, and LaMelo used to be limited because of his size because he was 6'3" and scrawny in high school, but now the man is 6'7", 6'8", and he's actually put on some weight. So the size isn't really limiting him. It's just the defensive motor, the defensive IQ. Can he develop that? And I remember Lonzo wasn't always the best defender, especially coming out of UCLA. That was kind of a knock on him. And now he's one of the best defensive point guards in the league. So I think LaMelo can probably develop that defense too. But the defensive question marks will still be there though. Now, James Wiseman, he was originally the number one prospect coming out of high school. And then he had that, I think it was a scandal, right, at Memphis. And he ended up leaving Memphis. I don't really know what happened after that. I just remember he didn't want to play for Memphis anymore. But he was the number one overall prospect coming out of high school. He's a center. So if they don't envision Capella as their long-term center, then that if they draft Wiseman, that would suggest that they don't view Capella as a long-term center. Wiseman and Collins next to each other in the front court as the bigs. That would alleviate any question marks about John Collins being able to play center. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that because we didn't get to see James Wiseman play at all in college, and that's just a wait and see. If the Hawks take Wiseman and he's available, that just shows that Capella's not a part of their long-term plans. But if they don't take him, they probably view Capella in their future plans. It would be really interesting to see what they do if whatever spot they're on, let's say they're at the third or fourth spot, because James Wiseman's draft stock, did fall a bit when he left Memphis. Because he was the presumptive number one overall pick coming into the season, but when he left, his draft stock dropped. So let's say the Atlanta Hawks are at like 4 and Wiseman is still there. It's going to be really interesting to see what they would do in that position. The last draft prospect is Obi Toppin. I know he's a forward. He kind of got a lot of hype later in the NCAA year. I don't really know much about him. I didn't really watch college basketball this year. I normally watch college basketball in March, but there was no March Madness. I know he's a forward, so if they took him, that's a 4 or 5 combo possibly of Obi Toppin and John Collins, and I would say that they want John Collins playing center. And if they didn't take him and they went guard, then again, I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but it just depends on what they want to do with Capella, honestly. Do they want to get another big man and eventually trade Clint Capella, or maybe he'll be a bench center? I mean, $17 million for a bench center is not ideal. It's not the end of the world. So I don't know. Again, wait and see on that. So, plan of action for the Atlanta Hawks. They got to continue developing their young guys, seeing who they want to keep as a part of the future of this franchise and who may not be a part of it when it's all said and done. First of all, they got to surround these guys with veterans that can help their development. You can't just it's not 2K. You can't just draft players under the age of 22 over and over again and they're just going to keep developing. It's not like that in real life. Every young player needs veterans to help them develop. Trae Young has Trae Young and Quarius Harris and John Collins, they got Vince Carter in their ear all the time. So every team needs veterans. Every young team needs veterans in order for them to take the next step. And the Atlanta Hawks front office has to do a good job of surrounding those young players with good locker room veterans. Also, having a good young core, multiple players with promise is probably the best ingredient for pulling off a blockbuster trade for a star caliber player, a disgruntled star or a star on a team that is made it known that they're rebuilding or selling. And right now, the Hawks have that. They have many assets of young players, with one coming in this year in the draft. And let's say a Bradley Beal becomes available in maybe 1 or 2 years from now. He doesn't want to be, or Washington accepting the rebuild, and they make him available. That's your 2-guard for you. And it doesn't just have to be Bradley Beal. It could be LaVine. If Chicago doesn't want to be a part of LaVine anymore, it could be Booker. If Booker finally wants out of Phoenix. Or maybe it could be Cat. I mean, we'll see how the D'Lo Cat experiment goes, but they want to embrace the rebuild like they did with Kevin Garnett so long ago. Maybe that could be their center, Cat. In like 2 or 3 years, because they're not going to trade him. If 1 year of D'Lo and Cat doesn't work, they won't trade him right away. They'll probably wait 2 or 3 more. Voice crack. They'll probably wait 2 or 3 more years and then trade him if they want to do that. But they also got to figure out if Lloyd Pierce is the guy. I didn't watch enough Hawks games to get a feel of his coaching, so I don't know. But he is a younger coach, and having a younger coach with younger players, that could bode well for him and the team. A younger coach can relate to the players a bit better. In terms of free agency, now this is interesting because Atlanta already has a lot of cap space, and piggybacking on top of that, Trae Young is on his rookie deal. After this year, he'll be on his rookie deal for 2 more years, right? Yeah, his rookie deal for 2 more years, making like $5 or $6 million. So they're going to have cap space for the next 2 years to sign a star caliber player. Will a star caliber player want to go to Atlanta? That's the question. Now, they're not a free agency destination that you would think of in the NBA like you think of LA and LA, New York and New York, Brooklyn, Miami, Chicago. Those are the free agency destinations you think of. But maybe it could be one nowadays with Trae Young, a young ascending player that passes the ball, he'll feed you the rock. It's the ATL. You got Lil Baby, Future, the Migos, hella rappers in the ATL. It'd probably be lit there. It probably is lit there. And especially with a younger generation of players coming up, they might view that as a free agency destination. You know? I don't know. It would be kind of hard to sell, but you would have to sell Trae Young and the ATL culture. I think it's possible. To summarize it, I think what they got to do is they got to take the Brooklyn approach. Brooklyn before this year, so thinking back to last year when D'Lo was on the team, they had this team of young, ascending players, hungry players. There's a culture built there. A winning culture was built there. They made the playoffs as the 6th seed. Philly was the 3 seed. They made it as a 6 seed. Y'all remember the bench mob, the bench celebrations, Jared Dudley, Theo Pinson, Karis LeVert. It was a good vibe in Brooklyn, and they're already a big market. It seemed like the vibe was there, the players were there, a winning culture was developed. It seemed like top to bottom, front office, the players, the coaches in between, everything was on the up. And in the end, that's what got them Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I think that's kind of the same route that Atlanta has to go down in order to maybe speed up their rebuild. Alright, funny story. I started recording that video and my camera was it was on the front camera. So that intro you saw, I did it after the original video that I recorded because I saw that it was on face camera and I was kind of salty. Most of these videos I'm going to do with my face in there, throughout the video. It's not just going to be at the beginning and end, but it was just a technical difficulty. And yeah, so I'm doing my outro for the second time, and I did my intro for the second time. Let me just get this out the way. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.